It is 2025, and if you have not gotten your life together yet, this is the video you need to watch. Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about 10 plus items that we are going to do this year to level up in 2025 and make it a fantastic year. So we're going to jump off right off the bat. We need to do some organizing. I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. We need to do some organizing. One thing that we need to do is a closet clean out. How long has it been since you've cleaned out your closet? Because for me, I don't want to talk about it. It's been a minute, and I have started to notice quite the accumulation of shirts that I haven't worn in such a long time. I truly opened one of my dresser drawers the other day because, in the spirit of this video, I was like, let me at least start with my dressers. I swear some of those shirts that were like buried in the bottom of the dresser drawer had a certain smell to them. It was not good. It was not good. And I was like, okay, this was really my reminder. Some of my shoes that like I haven't worn in so long and like just are not broken, but just not in great condition. Closet clean out is top of my list that I need to get done. And along those same lines is makeup decluttering. Now, I'm someone who does have quite a large makeup collection because in addition to this YouTube channel, I do also have a beauty YouTube channel. I run a beauty Instagram account, TikTok account, and I've also been doing beauty content since 2015. So I often have a very large makeup collection, but if there is one thing I've learned, and a video that I did on my main channel was talking about things social media has normalized, and that has become having large makeup collections, whether you are someone who is a content creator and this is what you do as part of your career, or a consumer and, a viewer of videos. I talk to plenty of people that are not on social media in a professional capacity, but still have quite the collection of eyeshadow palettes, foundations, lip products, makeup brushes, etc. So I recently did a huge declutter at the end of the year. For my main beauty channel, I always do a declutter series in the month of December, and I decluttered every single part of my makeup collection. I also recently went through and reorganized my entire beauty room, my office space, my walk-in makeup closet. That's a real thing. What is on the top of my list right now is also doing a huge skincare declutter. I get a ton of skincare and I have so many extra skincare, hair care, body care. I have a whole bathroom in my apartment that has been like taken over by this skincare. So that is top of my list. One thing that I have really been able to notice, and it's something I hear all of the time when people talk about decluttering and organizing the home, is that it makes your mind feel less chaotic. And I agree with that so much. Once I really organized my office space and my beauty room, I feel so much better just walking in the room. It's not so chaotic. There's not so much clutter coming at me. And I also find myself going in there and being able to look around and get inspired for ideas for videos and topics that I want to talk about, versus before I felt like I would go in and just be like, there's so much going on here. And that has really motivated me to, again, do my bathroom. I really want to do my pantry. And I want to keep up at being better organized throughout this year. It is something that I have said every single year. I've always said this is going to be the year that I'm going to be in my organized girl era, but I'm really trying to get a control of that in 2025, because for someone who already has a mind who just doesn't shut off, I do consider myself a more creative person. I'm a full-time content creator, and I'm also an author of 9 novels. I am a pretty creative person, and for me, what I hear from a lot of creatives is like our minds never shut off. And especially working in social media never sleeps. My mind is always going. Anything that I do, I'm thinking, should I be recording this? Can I make this into content somehow? Should I be filming? And I have a hard enough time keeping my thoughts quiet that I don't need a super chaotic, cluttered apartment to also keep feeding into that. So 2025, this is the year we're taking the steps to have an organized and clutter-free life, and that includes decluttering, our closet clean out, getting rid of makeup, getting rid of skincare that we don't need, we don't use. We can do this. Next up, to level up our life in 2025, we're gonna start making some meals at home. Listen to me. I am coming to you as a former undomestic goddess. I used to be quite proud of that term. I even made merch at one point with undomestic goddess on it. It had like little like wooden spoons and like a whisk on it and all these things, because there was a point in time where, not that I was like proud of the fact, but I owned it. Like, right, I owned it. That's what we'll say. I was like, I'm not good in the kitchen. I'm not good at cooking. I'm not good at baking. It is what it is. But one thing that I will say that really pushed me to learn how to be better in the kitchen, to learn how to make my own meals, was I got a divorce. And the man that I was married to and that I was with from a very young age, I started dating my ex-husband when I was 19 years old. I was married at, like 25 and got divorced when I was 32, I think it was. But he always loved cooking. He loved coming up with new recipes. So that I fell very quickly into a routine. We moved in when we were quite young. We were married quite young. And I just very quickly fell into a routine of him doing the cooking. And if he wasn't there, if he was out of town or busy at work or anything like that, like those would be the nights where like I would order a pizza for myself or order takeout. But every other time he would be making the meals. And then, I did the cleaning and, things like that. I often did like the grocery shopping, like he would send me the list. So we had like, a fair pattern worked out, and it worked for us at the time. But as my divorce got closer, I am one of the very fortunate women that I was able to really plan my divorce and plan for it. There are some women that I know that have to leave, very quickly and need to get out. And for me, I've always considered myself very lucky that I was able to really plan. I was able to save money for myself. I was able to have a lot of plans in place for being able to leave my marriage. And it might sound silly, but one of those plans was I needed to learn how to cook for myself. And which not me, I don't want to make it seem like I couldn't cook at all or like if he was never there, like I only relied on takeout food, because that wasn't it. There was like a few meals that that was like my go-to, or like if he was sick or something, it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to make you. But I was like, you need to be better. You need to be better at being able to come up with the recipes. You need to be better at being more creative. You need to be better at being healthier as well. And so it really became my mission to learn how to cook. And I mean, I did some like subscription services that was really helpful for me, like HelloFresh, Home Chef, things like that. Those were really helpful in kind of getting new ideas and having, some of the meals show up to my place. After my divorce, I moved from my home state of Iowa to where I am now, which is Las Vegas, Nevada. And I continued my subscription service for probably my first year here. And every week I knew that I had 2 meals that were going to show up at my door, and I could make them on my own. There's a lot of subscription services available now, and I think that they're great ideas, and there's a lot that are tailored on what you need. There's some where it's like you're cooking, there's some where it's more like heat and serve, there's some that's we even have a place here in Vegas called like Foodie Fit, where you just go and you're able to like pick up the meals yourself. So there's so many different options out there. So that was one of the really big factors of me trying to learn, that I needed to make my own meals. And then another thing too was in 2022, I was diagnosed with adrenal PCOS. And one of the biggest changes that I made was in my diet. And I really learned what I needed to be consuming that would help me and what I needed to cut out that would help me. And I became a lot more aware of what I was putting into my body. So I felt like I was already on a pretty good trajectory of, now being single and on my own after basically my whole adult life was, in a relationship. So I was learning how to be on my own, how to cook for myself, and I found myself really enjoying it and having fun with it. And even now, the day that I'm filming this, I'm cooking dinner for my friends tonight, and I'm really excited about it. And I like to go online. I typically use the platform TikTok to find different recipes, and it really helps me to have the visuals of seeing people, how they put it together. It's a little bit easier for me. Like I used to use Pinterest, and sometimes sure they had photos, but I need that visual for help. And so it's nice because I can prop up my phone and I can watch the video. I can see what they're mixing and how they're mixing things and what it looks like and what mine should be looking like. And it's usually a couple of times a week. A lot of times I live by myself and I just make dinners for myself, but I also love to be able to come and cook for my friends as well and try out new things that I see online or new combinations that I want to put together. And being able to make your own meals at home, obviously you have so much more control over what you are consuming. Sometimes when you go out to eat, you're not really sure all of the different oils and all of the different things that are being put into your meals. And then this way you can kind of customize it as well. So that to me is something that has become so important. So making our own meals at home, that's really going to help level up our lives in 2025. And along those same lines, I do think it's very important to try to cut back on refined sugar. I'm coming to you as someone who has talked at length about having a sugar addiction. And I always kind of say it with a chuckle, but I don't think that it's anything that's super funny, because refined sugar is so bad for you. It's so bad for the body. And I can definitely tell when I go through times where I really make sure that I cut back on refined sugar. I've done videos where I cut out sugar for 30 days and kind of showed like the before and after of my body and talked about how I felt. But I can definitely see the addiction to it. And what I mean by that is when I cut it out, those first couple weeks typically are really hard, and I really have those intense sugar cravings. And then after I go 30 days, 40 days, whatever it may be that I've really tried to cut back on refined sugar, and then when I start to introduce it into my system, I can tell within just a couple of days, I can tell that 10 a.m. comes around and I want a sugary hot chocolate. 2 o'clock comes around and I want a sugary soda. After dinner, I always want to have Oreos or ice cream or whatever it may be. But when I'm in that time and my body gets used to cutting down on the refined sugar, I don't have those cravings. I don't have that like second, not second thought, but that thought that's always there of like, okay, when's my next dessert? When's my next snack? And so every single time that I put a focus on cutting on refined sugar, that is one of the first things that I notice, and how it really plays into the more that you consume it, the more you become addicted to it. But it has been so interesting to see. In the month of January, I wanted to cut alcohol completely out. I'm not a big drinker. I think alcohol is literally terrible for the body. To me, it has no benefit to us. So I don't drink very often, but especially because of my job, I get to go out and like review a lot of restaurants in Las Vegas, and they're always giving us drinks. And so I was definitely finding myself, especially towards the end of the month, we were doing so much with holidays and New Year's. And I was like, I just feel like I've been consuming way too much alcohol. So I really wanted to do the dry January month and completely cut alcohol out. I also wanted to cut back on refined sugar because I felt like, I was drinking like 3 hot chocolates a day, and I was like, okay, this isn't good for you either. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was do cold plunging every single morning. And I posted a before and after video. And to me, I'm really glad that I made those videos, because just looking at me in the mirror, I didn't feel like I noticed a big difference. I didn't feel like I had lost any weight. I didn't feel like I looked any more toned. But once I put those videos side by side of January 1st to February 1st, I could definitely tell a big difference. You could tell a difference in my stomach. My abs were much more defined. When I turned to the side, you could see the difference in my thighs and my legs. It looked like I'd actually lost inches off of my legs. And then even my back, by where I had my swimsuit, in the January, you could tell that it was like a little bit tighter. I had more like skin kind of hanging over that side of the swimsuit, versus in February, there wasn't any of that. But also my acne. I'm someone who is acne prone. With my PCOS diagnosis, one of the biggest things that I struggle with is hormonal acne. In that January video, you can see a lot of acne on my face, and you can also see acne on my back and shoulders. I often get a lot of acne on my back and shoulders. And then when I turn in the February video, not only can you see that my skin is obviously clearer, but also my shoulders and my back, you can tell are clearer as well. And I was like, well, isn't that interesting? So I'm really glad, and this was my reminder of, if I'm trying anything, doing before and afters are very important, because sometimes, especially because you see yourself every day, when you have those gradual changes, sometimes it's hard for you to be able to notice them. But when you can really put the side by sides up, it is so fascinating to me. So I'm gonna keep on my journey of trying to cut back on refined sugar as much as I can. I always make sure that I put the word refined sugar in there, because of course things like fruits do have natural sugars in them. And that is something that I use in place. I love to make my own desserts at home. I post a lot of recipes here. I use a lot of dates in my recipes. Some of the fruit that is highest in sugar, but it is natural sugar. So that's something that I try to be aware of. Me making those desserts at home is super beneficial. And one thing that I've noticed too, if I make something like this these date desserts, where I do dates, I stuff them with almond butter, drizzle some chocolate on them and some peanuts, I can have 1 or 2 at night and feel good. Versus if I were to take like a tub of ice cream, like I love like the Ben & Jerry's like half-baked ice cream, or what was the one, like dirt cake or something like that, has like the Oreo cookies in it. I could eat that entire, like I'm going to say an entire thing, but I was going to say like half. Like I could just keep eating and eating and eating something that is so full of refined sugar versus when I do something like the dates, or like I made date cookie dough the other day, I can just have a few bites of it and I feel satisfied. So that's something that's always really stood out to me as well, with just kind of finding these a little bit better for you swaps that you can do at home. Since I mentioned cold plunging, we're going to go into hot cold therapy. This is something that I have been intrigued about, again, relating back to my adrenal PCOS diagnosis. One of the things that I've really started to love is cold plunging. I've talked about it in a few videos here. I went into a little further detail in one of my past videos on this, but about how I started to do cold showers. A couple of years ago, again, relating to PCOS, I started to do cold showers to try to help with my inflammation. That was the thing that I was struggling with the most, especially when it came to my weight gain. It was majority inflammation. And so one thing that I found that really helped me was doing cold showers and also lymphatic drainage in the morning. And I kept up with it whenever I would go to a spa and they had a cold plunge. I was always all about it. And then I ended up getting a cold plunge for the house. There's like these inflatable tubs that you can buy off of Amazon. It was like $50. You can fill it with water and then go in it every single morning. Where I live, it was getting, down into the 30s every single night. So when I would come out in the morning, the water would be very, very cold. And I would go in and try to stay in for at least 3 minutes. I have worked my way up to 7 minutes now. I'd love to work my way up to 10 minutes, but I just turn a podcast on and I just sit there and listen to it and go in the cold plunge. And again, going back to that video of showing the difference of those 30 days, cold plunging, I think, helped me so much, especially because I do more intermittent fasting. I typically don't have my first meal until around noon, sometimes 1 or 2. For me, one of the biggest things I noticed after I started cold plunging was I felt like I wasn't so starving in the morning, because especially during the times I've started intermittent fasting many, many years ago. This was something I did even back when I was in Iowa. And when I kind of like fall off of it, when you get back to it, it's like those first few hours in the morning, I'm like so hungry, so ravenous. And one thing that I really noticed with cold plunging was I felt like I wasn't getting hungry until later. And I looked it up and it did say that is one of the benefits of cold plunging. So I'd really recommend for you to do your own research into the benefits of what can happen if you do start to do cold therapy on a daily basis. But for me, what that meant was when I do have my lunch or I do break my fast, that I am not eating in a state of stress, which is also such an important thing when it comes to digestion. So sometimes, again, because I was so hungry, but I was waiting to break the fast, when I would go to eat lunch, I would eat so quickly and I wouldn't be taking breaths in between, and again, just not good for the digestion. So that was one of the biggest things that I noticed with cold plunging. And it was so funny because it was something I didn't even realize. I kept saying it to my friends, like, I just don't have much of an appetite yet, or I'm just not hungry yet. And my friend was like, hey, this is about the 5th time you've said that. Like, is everything okay? And I thought that was a great friend to check in and be like, hey, this is a little bit outside the norm. Like, is something going on? And I was like, no, you're right. I was like, and it's really been in the past, month. And the only thing that I've really done different is introduce cold plunging every single day. So there's been a lot of interesting benefits that I have seen. It also just makes me feel so much better. The mental clarity, like the mental sharpness that I have of sitting in a tub of cold water for 7 minutes, it makes me feel like I can just take on the day. I truly wake up every morning and I look forward to getting in the cold plunge, because I cold plunge, then I shower, I have my tea, and I'm like ready to go. Then I typically go on my walk and I'm just like, to me, it's like one of the perfect morning routines. But I also really love hot therapy as well. And this is something that I feel has been, trending upward the last few years. So doing things like sauna or steam rooms. I am someone who has a sauna and a steam room both at the apartment complex that I live in, which is great. And it's something that I can utilize often. It is also something, I was just having this discussion with some friends the other night, and they were saying how they know people that have a gym membership specifically to use the amenities at the gym. They don't really use the gym for the fitness reasons, but they use it because there's a pool. Like they can go swimming or sit in the hot tubs. They can go in the sauna. They can go in the steam room. There's some places that have like red light booths, and red light is very trending right now. I personally love I have a Solar Wave device and I use it on my face. Love it for red light. But there's also booths that you can buy for red light. There's mats that you can buy for red light. I just got a hydrofacial. They used a red light panel on me the other day at a med spa. But they were saying how people have gym memberships and don't go for the treadmills or for lifting weights, but they go so they can use the sauna and the steam room. And I thought that was very interesting. Also, I've been seeing where I live places, like there's one that's called like Hotworks. And I feel like there's like a drop sauna or something like that, but it's where you can drop in and go sit in the sauna and then cold shower and then go back into the sauna, doing the hot cold therapy at the same time, which is also very popular. But these places, these businesses are becoming more and more popular as, I don't want to say being healthy is trending, but kind of, which I think can have its pros and cons, of course. But I think having more education and research behind what this can do for the body, what it can mean to do sauna on the regular or steam room on the regular, or cold plunging on the regular, what that can do. I find that to be so interesting. So I've noticed more and more of these businesses popping up where I live in Las Vegas, and it just kind of shows where the focus and attention is right now for consumers. So I think looking into the benefits of hot cold therapy is such a big thing. And for me personally, like I got the cold plunging down, but I'm like, I really need to get into a better routine of using the sauna and the steam room on a regular basis, especially because it's something that is accessible to me where I live. I talked about red light. So that's another thing that I want to point out. Again, red light has become extremely popular for the face, for the body, for the hair. So one thing that I do, I use my Solar Wave. This is just a device that you can get on Amazon. It looks almost kind of like a razor, so it's a pretty small device, but it has red light, it has heat, it has vibration, and I really like it because it times itself. So you're supposed to do 3 minutes on like your cheek area, 3 minutes on the under eyes, 3 minutes on the forehead, and 3 minutes on the neck. And so it will stop at 3 minutes so you know to move on to the next, and then it shuts off after 12 minutes. And so I really like that. To me, I have noticed a big difference. Not only does my face look smoother, but I've really noticed it because I do deal with some like acne scarring from when I've had really bad breakouts, and I've noticed those starting to considerably lighten, which I love. So I've been a big fan of incorporating my red light every single night into my skincare routine. It's something that I look forward to. I just read a book while I'm doing it, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to time yourself. It's doing it for you. Also, red light for the hair is extremely popular. I have a device called the Ledora. Again, you can get this on Amazon. It looks kind of like a big hairbrush. But again, it has the vibration, it has the heat, it has the red light, and I like to do that and just run it all throughout my hair, and it's kind of massaging the scalp at the same time you're hitting it with the red light. I've had my Ledora for well over a year now, and it's a wonderful device, and I feel like it's really helped me in my hair regrowth journey. And then, like I mentioned, red light for the body as well. One thing that I'm personally really interested in getting is like a red light mat. For me, I think it would be great to cold plunge in the morning and then lay on a red light mat and then like shower and have my tea and go on my walk. To me, I think that would be such a great addition to my red light therapy. I've seen, again, like red light masks are very popular as well, but red light therapy, I feel like I'm hearing so many people talk about it and the benefits of it. Definitely something that I would look into and something to help level you up in 2025. So I mentioned hair, of course, I'm going to talk about hair oiling. So in one of the last videos that I did, I talked about like products we need to have like a healthy girl in 2025, and I talked about hair oiling and my love for it. So I have hair oiled every single week now for the last 4 weeks. And what I do is I have this applicator that I just bought off of Amazon, and I fill it with a few different oils. So what I typically use is a coconut oil, a black castor oil, a pumpkin seed oil, and a rosemary oil. And those are the ones that I put in. And before I go to do it, I take my scalp massager, I massage my head for 3 minutes so my scalp is really ready to let the oils kind of penetrate in. Then I heat up that oil. So I typically just take it out of its container, put it into a glass safe jar, heat it up in the microwave for a couple of minutes, and then I'm applying the hot oil to my scalp. And I'm really making sure to get it directly on my scalp, especially in areas like right in here where I am can notice the most amount of hair thinning, I make sure to be putting it right on the scalp there. And then I'm really focusing the oil on my scalp, not necessarily on my mids to my ends. That's where I do a hair mask. And then once I apply the hot oil, I scalp massage again for 3 minutes, do my mask on my mid to ends, wrap my hair in a microfiber hair towel, and then I do sleep with it and I wash it out right away in the next morning. This is the routine that I've been in for 4 weeks, and my hair feels softer, smoother. And one thing I've noticed is not losing as much hair in the shower, and this has been such a big deal to me. The day that I'm filming this, I just did my oiling last night, so I washed my hair this morning, and once again, I took a picture of just the few strands that was in my palms, and I sent it to my friends who were also doing hair oiling with me and said, hair oiling update. Like, I'm really not losing that much hair in the shower, where I used to truly cry and dread having to take a shower because I knew I was going to see how much hair I was losing, and it was so sad to me. So hair oiling, I've been seeing this all over the internet as well. Again, it feels like a very trendy thing to do right now, but if you actually look into hair oiling and the practice of it, and you see how far back it goes and how many cultures have really kind of shed the importance of it and what it can do. It's very fascinating. Like, the research when I've looked into it is very fascinating. But to me, I'm ready to level up my hair game in 2025, and I just know hair oiling is going to help me get there. All right, I love walking. So in 2025, one of the ways that we're going to level up is we're going to get our steps in. So I know I always hear about 10,000 steps kind of being like the daily step count goal. And what I was saying in my last video, because I was talking about ankle weights and also walking pads, but I said when I was getting into my step count goals, I started with a goal of 5,000 steps, then I moved to 7,500, then I went to 10,000 steps, and now I walk more like 20,000 steps. Walking is my main form of exercise. I've recently started dabbling back in with reformer Pilates, because again, it's an amenity that's available where I live, and I pay a lot of money to have that amenity, so I'm like, you should use it, you should use the steam room and all the things. But I love walking. I love walking outside. I love waking up, doing my morning routine, getting outside for a walk. It's when I listen to my podcast. It's when I video chat with my friends. I catch up on my text messages, and I also just get to be outside, especially in the morning. Getting that sunlight right away is also so beneficial to your circadian rhythm. So I love to be able to walk. But sometimes if it doesn't work out, like if the weather's not working out, today is extremely windy in Las Vegas. I could not walk this morning, so I can either go to the gym and use the treadmill, or I did get a walking pad for my house. In that last video, I was talking about adding in my ankle weights and how I've really seen some growth in my glutes, which is very exciting. But I love walking, and I just think not only has it been great physically for me, especially with having PCOS and having adrenal PCOS, which is my symptoms are triggered by stress. Doing workouts that put a lot of stress on my body just don't work for me because of my particular condition. So going to low impact exercise is what is so important, and walking is the best. It's also free. I get to go outside and just walk, which is great for me, but it's also been such a beneficial addition to my mental health. Just being something about being outside, being in nature. I also love hiking, but it's kind of like my me time. It's my time to, again, catch up on my podcast, catch up with my friends, catch up with text messages, maybe make some phone calls, call my mom, all those things. And so I've noticed not only so many physical benefits to it, but also mental health benefits to it as well. So we're going to get our step count goal in 2025, or just up our fitness game, whatever it is that we want to do. But another thing we're going to do to level up in 2025, and I'm mostly talking to myself here, is we're going to stretch on the regular. I think stretching can often get overlooked when it comes to talking about fitness, because we see people getting the 10,000 steps a day. We see people doing crazy moves on the reformer Pilates. We see, the RDLs and lifting heavy weights and running super fast on the treadmill and all of these things. But we very rarely see videos that are just focused on stretching, because let's be serious, it's like not that fun. It's like, I don't know, it's like the eyeliner of doing makeup. That's like, it's not the most exciting part, but it's something that is, well, to me, I love eyeliner, so there's that. But for stretching, it is something that is so beneficial. And I can tell, especially since adding in the ankle weights to my walks, that my legs hurt often. My calves hurt often, and I need to be better at stretching regularly. One of my close friends also loves going to the gym, loves the treadmill and all of those things, and she is constantly complaining of like her calves hurting. So the other day we actually went to a stretch class. It was a little bit like yoga based, but also just the main focus of that class was stretching. And we were like crying using these foam rollers on our ankles and our thighs, learning how to like open up the hips and all these stretching moves. I was like, I need to do a stretch class on the regular. It was a great reminder to me, because also your muscles do need recovery and they do need love. I'm also a big fan of getting massages on the regular. I think massages are super beneficial to the body, but stretching at home is so important, and we need to be doing this regularly in 2025. I've talked about my morning routine, but I do think having a morning and night routine is going to be super important for how you're going to level up this year. For me, I've kind of mentioned my morning routine looks like waking up, cold plunging, shower, tea, and going for a walk. And I do all of that before I start my work for the day. So I typically wake up around like 5:30 or 6 a.m. So I'm able to get all of that in, because my first walk of the day is about 4 miles, which takes me usually just over an hour to be able to do. So I have a lot going on in the morning, but I really love my morning routine. And then my night routine, one thing that I do for me to signify that it is going to be my night routine, because I could work all night long. I am definitely a workaholic. I work for myself. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, so I feel like if I'm not working, I'm not making money. So sometimes it is really hard for me to wind down. But one thing that I do that clicks to my brain, this is your night routine. It's time to start shutting down. It's time to start switching the focus, because again, one of those biggest things with my diagnosis was managing my stress better, which meant also sleeping better. To me, this meant getting a good night routine. So the thing that I do is I just light a candle, and there's a specific candle. Like I have a candle that I keep in like my kitchen office area. I have a candle that I keep in my beauty room and my filming space, and then I have a candle that I keep in my bedroom. I only light that candle during my night routine. It doesn't matter if it's a Saturday and I'm cleaning my bedroom or cleaning the bathroom or organizing my closet. I do not light that candle in my bedroom. That is for my night routine. So that is the first step that I do in my night routine, because that is my signal. It is time to start winding down. And then that's when I start doing things like my skincare, my red light, any masks that I want to do. I have a specific book that I always keep on my nightstand. That's the book that I read as part of my night routine. It's always a physical book. I don't, even though my Kindle doesn't have blue light, I'm trying to reduce the amount of screen time I'm having at night, of blue light that I'm having at night. So that is the routine that I get into. Again, same thing in the morning. You can have, whatever it may be for you. For me, it looks like lighting a candle in my night routine, but there's different things that you can do to signify like, this is your morning routine. This is how you get started. This is your night routine. This is how you get started. But having those routines is so helpful, because it just gets you I want to say it gets you into a routine, but it's something that now I can do all of this without even thinking. So I will say too, the first thing that I do when I wake up is I tongue scrape. And I talked about this in the items that you need to have a healthy girl 2025 is a tongue scraper. That's actually the first thing that I do in the morning before I even drink water or anything. I tongue scrape and then I drink water. But I could be half asleep and my body will go through those steps, because it is my routine. It is my norm. So even if I'm not thinking about it, the first thing that I do when I go to my bathroom vanity, I pull it up and I take my tongue scraper out. I tongue scrape and then I grab my water bottle that's right next to me and I start drinking water. It's my routine. So once you get into a routine, I feel like it's less forgetful. Even something like when I was starting to learn what supplements were good for me to take, now, like I don't forget to take my supplements because it's part of my morning routine. I know that I'm going to tongue scrape, I'm going to drink my water, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to go out to my kitchen, I'm going to take my supplements, I'm going to go back in, I'm going to start my skincare routine. It's my routine, so I don't forget. So morning and night routines, we're going to lock those in 2025. This is very trendy right now, but I'm seeing a lot of videos that in 2025 we're going to get a hobby. I would love some of your input here of what hobby you're going to focus on in 2025, because I will be honest with you, I'm not good at having hobbies. I'm not good at them. I typically end up making my hobbies into some sort of job. My love for books. I'm an author. I'm also a book blogger. I don't do a lot of reading just for the fun of it myself. I'm typically doing it because I have said that I will review a book. My love of makeup and skincare and beauty and fashion. that is a full-time career as well. So I don't have a ton of hobbies. Even something, because I do like a lot of lifestyle videos, even when it comes to stuff like fitness, even though I don't film every single time that I do a workout, even when I was just doing reformer Pilates the other day, I was like, oh, I should at least set up the camera for a little bit. So, for me, I do love reading. I love working out. I love my walks. I love dancing, sometimes at night. I'll literally, or it doesn't have to be at night, but I'll turn my music on and dance in the bathroom by myself. But I will be honest when I say I don't feel like I'm someone who has a lot of hobbies. And I've been seeing a lot of videos on like, this is the year that we're going to get a hobby. So I need to know some of your suggestions down below, and maybe I'll do a deeper dive video into this. Maybe I'll try some of the hobbies that you suggest. Maybe I'll look around and see what are some of the top hobbies in 2025 that we're doing. But I'm going to level up this way too. And in 2025, I'm going to get a hobby. The last thing that we're going to do to level up in 2025 is have a financial glow up. We're going to have a financial glow up. I have talked about finances quite a bit on this channel and also on my main channel. One of my most popular videos from back in the day is how I got myself out of extreme debt because of starting a YouTube channel and starting to buy a ton of makeup. And having a financial glow up is so important. I again go back to reference what I was talking about in the beginning of this video and going through a divorce. I wish I had become better prepared for this video because I would love to give some statistics on women in divorce and how it affects their finances. But typically divorce affects women more negatively than it does the man in the finance department. Now, I live in the US, so we're talking about a country where women could not even have their own bank account or their own line of credit until 1974. They had to have either, like a husband or a dad co-sign for them. So, 1974 wasn't that long ago. So, of course, there's that, but our system is definitely set up to better the male. And there's so many times in divorce where the male is going to be better off financially. It was one of the reasons why my divorce personally took so long to do, was because at the time that I realized that I needed to leave, I could not afford it. I could not support myself. And the more women that I talk to who have either been divorced or gotten out of long relationships or are still in relationships but are trying to leave, almost every single time their number one factor for staying as long as they did, or why they're still in that relationship, is finances. And that is heartbreaking, but it is very much a reality. So again, when I knew that I was going to be getting a divorce, I thought not only do you got to learn how to cook for yourself, but you're also going to need money to buy those groceries as well. And so I really started to take control of my finances. And the biggest thing that I did that through was education. I started to pivot away from only watching beauty videos or reality TV shows or videos on drama. And I started to watch videos on finances, on investing, on savings. I started to listen to podcasts about it. I've referenced several podcasts like Her First 100K. I've referenced the book Rich AF by Vivian Tu quite a bit. Education is so important. I have been out of school for a hot minute, so I don't know if the school system has gotten any better in teaching us about education, but I didn't know anything about credit card debt or how that worked. I didn't know anything about what getting a mortgage looked like. And I've bought 2 houses in my days now, but being told about like closing costs and escrow and all this, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We didn't learn that in school. So educating yourself is one of the biggest things that you can do. And it's also something that you can do for free. There is so much content on YouTube, on TikTok even. There's so much content out there that you can at least start to learn. And then maybe it'll be like, oh, you know what? This book that is $15, I can buy it and I can learn so much from it. I did not learn until I was in my 30s that I should have a high yield savings account. I just had a savings account at my credit union where I was making like 0.01% on the money that I had in my savings account. I would get like 30 cents at the end of the year. And the credit union would be like, thanks, bae. Thanks for putting your money here. Appreciate you. And then I learned what a high yield savings account was. And now all of a sudden I'm making hundreds of dollars instead of pennies every single year on what I have saved. And that was such a wake-up call to me. There's a lot of different financial institutions that have high yield savings account. I can link my particular one down below. I do have a referral code. I use Marcus Goldman for it. They have a referral code that anybody can use. It has nothing to do with me being a content creator. And then both me and you, if you sign up with that link, you get like an extra point of interest for a certain amount of months or something like that. But for me, that is what I have used to be able to actually make my money work for me when it comes to investing. I have had to become self-taught on the stock market, to be honest, it's still not something I feel like I know the most about. If I ever see someone talking about it, I always try to sit and listen to those videos. I would love to be able to read some more books about it as well, just to try to educate myself even better. But 2025 is a year that we are going to have that financial glow up. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by educating ourselves with what we're reading, with what we're listening to, and what we are consuming. And then also doing, of course, things like tracking your finances, I always think is so important, because you can't make any real changes to your finances or your habits unless you actually know what they are. And it's not just like you look back at the end of the month and you're like, well, yeah, maybe I kind of overspent in this area, but like I probably saved enough over here. You don't know. That is way too ambiguous, and you need to break it down and you need to track your finances. That's one of the big things that we're going to do. I could do a video all about finances if you want it, by the way, because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And then the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to learn what budget is going to work for us. We're going to learn what savings is going to be the best for us. We're going to learn if we're ready to start investing or how we're going to start investing. Because I just always think that the time is now. Like for me, I wish I would have started sooner, but there's like, if you're thinking like I need to wait because I need X, Y, and Z, like the time is now. Because even if you wait another 6 months, you'll be like, oh man, I wish I would have started 6 months ago. So this is your sign of how to have that financial glow up in 2025. But after that, those are 10 plus ways. I know there's definitely more than 10 in here, but 10 plus ways of how we are going to level up to make 2025 our best year yet. Make sure to drop your tips in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.